TradFi and DeFi are brawling it out in a CFTC hearing today. We're going to break it down for you. This is an exclusive that you guys do not want to miss. Unbelievable clips. I do want to get started, but before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem, where you guys can get into self-custody, and it is the place to go for your secure wallet out there. Very easy to set up and easy to use. Tangem, one of the best spots in self-custody. Use our link. You're going to still get a 1+1 wallet, so you get the second at 50% off. An extra 10% off, still going until the end of August, so use it quickly and get the 10% off down below. You guys will love it and thank us later. All right, so let's start off with the first clip, and there's a handful of clips here, guys, so be patient with that. These are unbelievable. This is a recap of the CFTC crypto event. Take a look.
Welcome to the inaugural meeting of the CFTC's Innovation Advisory Committee. The caliber of people joining us in the room reflects Chairman Selig's commitment to bringing the very best minds to the table.
All right, thank you. So I'm Hayden. I'm the founder of Uniswap. Me and my company and multiple of my employees were debanked. The company received a Wells notice from the SEC after a 4-year investigation. We had a CFTC investigation. We had state regulators pile on to federal investigations. Also led to class action lawsuits.
Ripple spent $150 million on outside legal counsel during our 4-year battle with the SEC. Other companies were bullied into submission.
Most startups cannot survive that. So we survived that, and it was because of just the massive adoption and usage of Uniswap. But for us, it really held us back.
From our point of view, we've always been like, hey, we'll do anything to go and figure this out, right?
80% of Ripple's hiring for those 4 years was non-US.
So I stayed in the US throughout it, despite very frequently being recommended to leave the US because I believe in kind of the promise of this country.
So for every Hayden or Shane who have the strength and the will to stay in the US, there's thousands for each one of them that left, closed it down, and I know that personally because I'm their infrastructure provider. So that's a very serious cost.
Really just, we need clarity, and if we don't get clarity, we need proactive regulations.
If clarity continues to stall because of obstruction, the CFTC will utilize its existing authorities to begin establishing a regime for crypto asset markets, codify a future-proof digital asset market structure that cannot be undone by the crypto haters.
All right, so there you had it. Chair Selig, very serious about this, appears to be on the track. I think one of the reasons we're continuing to see some movement in the market. All right, so I want to go to clip 2 here. Selig, of course, kind of saying, hey, listen, we're going to get clarity one way or the other. And he's referencing crypto haters. And one of the guys that I think he might be referencing here as a crypto hater from TradFi, of course, has been Mr. Duffy, Terry Duffy, coming in from the CME, and we've played him before on the network quite a bit. Listen to what he said at this meeting.
We want to promote and support the product. I'm a little concerned about this, and I'm a lot concerned about it. Products that are in violation of core principle 3s, which is susceptible to manipulation. There's no doubt about it. And if you don't think that's true, then you don't watch the news. That is not good for our industry. Chair Selig has said how they want to make America the crypto capital of the world. Well, we don't want to chase our own participants out of our own markets either. That's horrible for our industry. We're not a bunch of carnival barkers at a circus. So I would hope that the commission...
record there. Those products are not listed in the United States. They never were. This occurred offshore, and that's fake news.
It's fake news? Okay, that's a cute comment too.
The Maduro contract and the teleprompter-related contract were not listed in the United States.
I understand that. Regardless of the circumstances, that we can get into a back and forth if you like. I'm happy to do that too. Perps.
All right, so you can see Duffy is really getting into a position where he understands there is carnage about to happen in the industry. Here is Kalshi's COO actually going after Duffy and setting him straight. Take a look.
I just wanted to respond since Kalshi was called by name here. I would actually like to ask, Terry, has CME never had any issues with, any market manipulation, any issues ever in its history?
If you'd like to have a debate, I'm happy to have a debate with you. There's always...
No, I'm just asking a simple yes no question. Have you guys had an issue with market surveillance? I have more people in my regulatory
department than you do in your entire company, okay? Thank you.
Maybe you should learn a bit about efficiency then.
Well, maybe you should learn about credible markets.
Okay. Let's try to keep this productive. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons prediction markets have grown this much is because it has looked into events and things that a lot of the traditional industry has ignored. Things that's too small or things that's irrelevant is actually very important.
First of all, it's not anonymous. It's all public, it's all on chain. It's the least anonymous financial market of all time. You can look at every single market and see every single trade and look at the trading history in full of every single participant. Like it's, a level of transparency that's unprecedented.
And by the way, thanks Terry and Luana for spicing it up after 3 hours. That was helpful. I'm wide awake. And then the last thing I'll say is that somebody mentioned.
All right, so I think the guys get the gist of the market. This is TradFi, absolutely terrified of what's happening or about to happen in the U.S. markets. Duffy is now even more concerned with Hyperliquid and also Trade.XYZ. Look at this clip.
Perps. Why? Because these are having an impact on our markets off the decentralized finance platforms on Trade.XYZ on Hyperliquid's platform. Now, these are illegal to U.S. participants. I would have to ask the commission what they are doing to police everybody's VPN where they are not accessing these markets.
Yeah, you can see, I mean, he clearly is concerned about this to the point of where now he's calling out every major American that's ever done anything like this. I think this is where it goes when TradFi starts to feel the defense mechanism going up. Kraken CEO came in and said, all right, let's go after the DTC and Canton. Take a look.
We've been working closely with the DTCC and their progression towards launching in October on top of Besu and Canton. But we don't need a new regulatory environment. And quite frankly, I'm not seeing anything that needs to be evolved right now. Just because it is a perpetual futures contract does not mean it needs to have 100 times leverage, does not mean it needs to have auto deleveraging. Those are all features that were put in place on offshore platforms. I don't think that we should adopt those. I've been quite clear about that.
But what are we really talking about here? What we're talking about here is that the average individual, sorry, Don, I know you're right next to me, but everything that made Don successful over the last, 30, 40 years, we can put that in the hands of every individual, or they can have an army of people or agents or entities working on their behalf. That should be scary for larger, older institutions, because that means you're inherently making the technology that they built over the last centuries inherently deflationary for all of us.
Basically, D-Day is here, guys, and I think this is what TradFi is starting to recognize even more. The fact that it's this far along at the CFTC, and even Chair Selig kind of cracking back on Duffy that even his facts were wrong. So I think it's interesting. And here's the CBOE, because this is where they're actually admitting that they're gangsters. Take a look.
I think earlier, maybe late last year, I had the chance to meet Shane. He greeted me by saying, "What up?" And then he said, "Oh, you're the OG." And when he left, I had to ask my younger colleagues what was meant by that. And I was educated about what it means to be an original gangster, I guess, but which makes me feel really old.
All right, so having fun with this. You also had Frank Lasalla. This is the guy at the DTCC. This guy has been on our show before, not as a guest, but in clips. And he's pretty spicy against the CFTC, trying to defend his position. Take a look.
But let me turn to Frank from DTCC, who's been doing a lot of work on tokenization.
Thank you. Thanks. Frank Lasalla, CEO of the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. Mr. Chairman, what I wanted to say is, and I'm going to come at this from a slightly different perspective, this ability to convene, I would not underestimate. I look around this room, you clearly have that power to convene. So as we walk through this path, what might come, what bits might fall off, I think I would encourage you to continue to convene, maybe not in large groups like this. So if I could leave you with any piece of advice, that would be it.
Yeah, let's don't convene in something that actually is productive in large group. Let's do some stuff behind the scenes here. I think that's the direction. Now, Vlad came in and explained what is currently not available to customers in the US, and it kind of hits home.
Not all of our products are available to all of our customers. Take staking, for example. If you're in my home state, the great state of California, which gets a lot of things right, you can't stake your crypto assets. 4 US states actually don't allow customers to stake their crypto assets. Stablecoins, USDG, the stablecoin we partner with, aren't live in New York. USDC are available everywhere but Texas. Having our customers worry about rules changing every 4 to 8 years, or whether an asset they're going to hold is going to have to be delisted one way or another, preventing their access to it, which I think just puts a cloud of uncertainty over everything.
So you can kind of see this hearing really showcased how inefficient the markets are, and that there are alternatives that are essentially happening all around us. And it also included perps, because this is where Multicoin, this clip right here is where Multicoin is hinting that perps actually might get approved for IPOs next year. This would change things up a lot.
However, that wealth creation has been almost entirely in private markets. Regular American citizens want to participate in this wealth creation, and they're unable to do so. And I think one thing the commission can consider to help these citizens is something like pre-IPO perps that would give those users a regulated and safe way to get price exposure to these private companies without those companies necessarily having to go public in order for them to do so.
This is one of the key things that I think scares Wall Street the most, and that is IPO perps. This would change the dynamic of investing and really allowing investors to come on essentially onto the market that have never been there before. This is the kind of thing that flips markets completely upside down. It's also why we're seeing so much, I think, fear and almost unpreparedness from what we're seeing in the TradFi market. Now, Mike Selig went on to say, because I think it boils down to two things, and Selig kind of addresses this, and that is, yes, we're going to end up doing some rules here, but it really still depends on what happens September 15th. Here's a clip.
But the bill is really the priority. The bill has to get passed.
Is there a timeline that you're looking at where you would act? Are you already preparing any of this action, or does it have to happen once we see ultimately the fate of that bill?
I've asked the staff to explore and evaluate potential rulemakings utilizing our existing authority, but we're focused on the bill today. Until we get that across the line, and until we have an answer on where the bill is going, we're not going to propose any new rules.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, well, we'll see how this plays out. Selig kind of has his marching orders, I think, also from Trump, and the indicators are really going to be clear. There is a fallback plan that most likely will be in place by the SEC and the CFTC come September with what is going on with the Clarity Act. Now, everyone did agree on a couple of things, and one of them is privacy on Ethereum and security as well. All of this, including for ZCash, all of this was outlined here as well as in this clip.
Every week you kind of hear about another protocol getting breached or money being drained.
A project called ZCash has modeled how to use AI effectively to find vulnerabilities. ZCash is also pioneering formal verification.
But I do think there's a better solution, formal verification of software.
In the Ethereum ecosystem, what we're moving into now is the ability to formally verify, so mathematically verify the correctness of the code. And we do a lot of that work already. We're going to be able to formally verify the correctness of DeFi protocols. I think we're going to move into a golden era for software.
All right, so golden era coming. You've got ZCash absolutely exploding in terms of overall price, and I think this is just another indicator of what we saw in a very short period of time, mainly because of what is happening right here. And just remember, 3 in 4 Americans right now are worried about personal data and the government in reference to what the government has about them. So this is going to get to be a big issue down the road, and I think that will be a factor playing into where blockchain comes from, and that is the security layer that is going to be needed. I want to go to one more clip here because this gets into the San Diego privacy hearing that proves that this is not going away anytime soon.
This morning, the local American Civil Liberties Union is calling on the city of San Diego to cancel contracts for automated license plate readers. Flock is the company behind the systems. Law enforcement calls them vital tools, but there are growing concerns over privacy and misuse. During yesterday's Public Safety Committee hearing, one person, dressed up as Darth Vader from Star Wars,
"This council has done well. The Emperor is a fan of Flock, and we must continue utilizing Flock technologies so that we can follow and surveil the rebel scum as they move from playground to playground, from playground to pool, from pool to gymnasium. We need SDPD to have more money for the Emperor to rule over the entire universe. And anyone that disagrees is part of the Rebel Alliance and a scum. And if our stormtroopers don't receive all the funding that they deserve, there will be hell to pay with the Emperor. And he is not as forgiving as I."
This concludes testimony here in chambers.
Culture is a very unusual thing out there, and it is showing up, I think, now in the U.S., which there's a shift, guys. I don't know if you're recognizing this. There is a shift underway, whether it is the next generation investor, the next generation voter, but there is a shift that is happening. We have 24 days right now, 20 hours before we get a clarity Senate vote, or at least according to what we have been talking about here for quite some time, and we'll see if Senator Thune actually delivers on that. And that's where we are right now. You've got Clarity Act up again after yesterday's movement in the market, also after Chair Selig's meeting, which I think was the real, and we kind of promised that to you yesterday when we were talking about it, is that the CFTC hearing would most likely be the ones that actually resolve in something real. That did happen. So big things happening right now. The market is on the move. The question is how long will this last? Is this the beginning of a bull market? Stay tuned. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.